Dr. Kira pressed her six-fingered hand against the cold metal wall and tried to slow her breathing. Her purple skin had turned almost white with stress. Behind the reinforced glass window, the massive creature paced back and forth like a living storm. The stellar mane was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Its pure white fur seemed to glow under the bright medical lights. Each step it took shook the floor beneath their feet. The beast stood nearly 8 feet tall at its shoulders. Its amber eyes burned with intelligence and rage. "Doctor, we cannot keep doing this," said Nurse Tavo, one of the green-skinned Reptani species. His voice shook as he spoke. "That thing nearly killed Medic Yorn yesterday. 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung. He is still in the healing chamber." Dr. Kira nodded, but did not look away from the creature. The Galactic Medical Research Station Harmony was the most advanced facility in 3 star systems. They had saved creatures from dying worlds across the galaxy. They had cured diseases that wiped out entire species. But this one animal was defeating them all. The stellar mane suddenly stopped pacing and looked directly at them through the glass. Its golden eyes seemed to see right through them. Then it opened its mouth and roared. The sound was like thunder and breaking glass mixed together. The reinforced window cracked. Emergency alarms started blaring throughout the medical bay. Several staff members covered their ears and ran for safety. "Increase the sound dampeners," Dr. Kira shouted over the noise, "and check those window supports again." The creature had been brought to their station 3 weeks ago. It came from Xerion Prime, a planet that was slowly dying as its sun grew cold. The rescue team found the stellar mane alone in a frozen wasteland. It was the last of its kind on that world. But saving the creature was proving impossible. It carried a rare parasitic infection that was slowly killing it from the inside. The parasites were eating away at its organs. Without treatment, the magnificent beast would die within days. The problem was getting close enough to treat it. Every attempt ended in disaster. Dr. Kira remembered the first day they tried to sedate it. The creature had seemed calm at first. Then 6 medical staff entered its containment unit with sedation equipment. The stellar mane moved faster than anything that size should be able to move. It knocked down 2 medics with one swipe of its massive paw. Its claws, each as long as a human hand, tore through their protective suits like paper. The creature grabbed a 3rd medic in its jaws and shook him like a toy before the emergency team could drive it back with shock prods. All 3 medics survived, but just barely. The second attempt was worse. They tried using sleeping gas pumped through the air system. The stellar mane held its breath for over 10 minutes, and then went into a rage that lasted for hours. It destroyed half the equipment in its containment unit and cracked the walls with its claws. The 3rd attempt nearly killed everyone involved. They used the strongest sedatives they had, enough to put down a space whale. The creature absorbed the drugs like they were water and became even more violent than before. "Dr. Kira," came a voice from behind her. She turned to see Commander Brix, the station's chief administrator. His blue, jellyfish-like body floated in its mobility suit. His voice was calm, but firm. "We need to discuss the situation." Dr. Kira knew what that meant. She followed the commander to his office, leaving the medical staff to monitor the increasingly agitated creature. Commander Brix's office overlooked the main research bays. Through the large windows they could see hundreds of other rescued creatures, living peacefully in their habitats. Some swam in artificial oceans. Others flew through controlled atmospheres. A few rested in environments that matched their home worlds. All of them were healing. All except one. "Doctor, you know I respect your work," Commander Brix began. "The Harmony Station has the best survival rate in the galaxy because of your team's efforts. But this creature is different." Dr. Kira sat in the chair across from his desk. "It just needs more time, Commander. We can find a way to help it." "Time is exactly what we do not have," the commander replied. "This morning I received reports from 3 different departments. The creature's roars are disrupting sleep patterns in other animals. The constant emergency alerts are affecting station morale. And yesterday's incident put another medic in critical care." The commander activated a holographic display that showed damage reports from the past 3 weeks. Broken equipment, Injured staff and stress readings from other creatures filled the air between them. The cost of keeping this one animal is more than we spend on 50 others combined, Commander Brix continued. And it is getting worse every day. The creature is dying, and its pain is making it more violent. Dr. Kira stared at the reports floating in front of her. Every number told the same story. They were failing. What are you suggesting, Commander? I am giving you 48 more hours, he said quietly. If your team cannot find a way to treat the creature safely by then, we will have to consider other options. Dr. Kira knew what other options meant. The thought made her sick. She had dedicated her life to saving creatures, not ending them. 48 hours, she repeated. I am sorry, Doctor. I truly am. But I have to think about the safety of the entire station and all the other creatures we are caring for. Dr. Kira left the commander's office with heavy steps. She returned to the medical bay where her team was still watching the stellar main through the cracked window. The creature had stopped pacing. It lay on its side, breathing heavily. Even from a distance, they could see that it was getting weaker. The parasites were winning. Any new ideas? Dr. Kira asked her team. The staff members looked at each other but said nothing. They had tried everything they knew. Advanced drugs, energy treatments, even experimental procedures that had never been tested on this species. Nothing worked, as, if sensing their despair, the stellar main lifted its great head and looked at them again. For a moment, its golden eyes seemed sad instead of angry. Then it let out a low, mournful sound that was nothing like its earlier roars. The sound broke Dr. Kira's heart. This magnificent creature, the last of its kind from a dying world, was giving up hope. But she was not ready to give up yet. The transport shuttle docked with Harmony Station just as the morning shift began. Dr. Kira barely noticed the arrival announcements over the intercom system. She had spent the entire night reviewing files and medical records, searching for anything that might help save the stellar main. Her eyes burned from staring at data screens. Her purple skin looked pale and tired. The 48-hour deadline was now down to 36 hours, and she was no closer to a solution. Dr. Kira called Nurse Tavo from across the medical bay. The new exchange student has arrived. Commander Brix wants you to meet her. Dr. Kira sighed. She had forgotten about the student exchange program. Every few months, the station received young medics from different worlds to learn about galactic medicine. Usually she enjoyed teaching newcomers, but today was not the time. Send her to study the healing chamber procedures, Dr. Kira said without looking up from her work. I do not have time for introductions today. Actually, Doctor, she is already here. Dr. Kira turned around and saw a small figure standing in the doorway. The newcomer was clearly human, which surprised her. Humans were still considered a young species by galactic standards. Their medical knowledge was basic compared to most other civilizations. The human girl looked impossibly young. She had short black hair and dark eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. She wore the standard medical trainee uniform, but it looked too big for her small frame. Hello, Dr. Kira, the girl said with a slight bow. My name is Hana Kim. I am here from Earth as part of the Veterinary Medicine Exchange Program. Veterinary medicine? Dr. Kira almost laughed. Humans still separated their medical fields into categories for different types of creatures. Most advanced species had moved beyond such simple divisions centuries ago. Welcome to Harmony Station, Miss Kim, Dr. Kira said politely. I am afraid this is not the best time for learning. We have a critical situation that requires all our attention. Hana nodded and looked around the medical bay. Her eyes stopped when she saw the viewing window that looked into the stellar main's containment unit. Is that the critical situation? She asked. Dr. Kira followed her gaze. The great white creature was lying on its side again, breathing slowly and painfully. Even through the thick glass, they could hear its labored breathing. Yes, Dr. Kira said. That is a stellar main from Xerion Prime. It is dying from parasitic infection, but we cannot get close enough to treat it safely. Hana walked closer to the window. The stellar main lifted its head and looked directly at her. For a moment, the two different species just stared at each other through the glass. How long has it been here? Hana asked. 3 weeks. We have tried every advanced treatment we know. The creature is too aggressive to handle safely. Hana continued studying the animal. What treatments have you attempted? Dr. Kira listed the various sedatives, energy therapies, and medical procedures they had used. She explained how each attempt had failed and resulted in more injuries to the medical staff. Have you tried simply spending time with it? Hana asked. The question caught Dr. Kira off guard. Spending time with it? Yes. Just being near it without trying to do any procedures. Letting it get used to your presence. Dr. Kira blinked her large eyes in confusion. Miss Kim, this is not a domestic pet. This is a dangerous wild creature that has already injured 17 of my staff members. I understand that, Hana said, calmly. But on Earth, when we work with traumatized animals, especially large predators, we often start by building trust before attempting any medical intervention. Nurse Tavo, who had been listening to the conversation, made a sound that might have been laughter if he were human. Trust? Doctor, this primitive approach would never work with such an advanced life form. Dr. Kira felt embarrassed for the young human. Miss Kim, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but what works on your simple Earth animals cannot apply to creatures from advanced worlds like Xerion Prime. Hana did not seem offended by their dismissal. Instead, she continued watching the stellar main through the window. Dr. Kira, may I ask you something? Hana said. What do you know about the social structure of stellar mains in the wild? Dr. Kira opened her data pad and read from the file. Stellar mains are solitary apex predators. They hunt alone and maintain large territories. They are highly intelligent and extremely dangerous. But what about their family groups? Their pack behavior? Dr. Kira checked her files again. The records indicate they are solitary creatures. Hana nodded thoughtfully. On Earth, we have large cats that seem solitary to casual observers, but they actually have complex social needs and emotional bonds. When those bonds are broken or when they are isolated from their natural environment, they often become aggressive and difficult to handle. Are you suggesting this creature is simply lonely? Nurse Tavo asked with obvious disbelief. I am suggesting that fear and emotional trauma can make any intelligent creature difficult to treat, Hana replied. Even on Earth, injured wild animals often become aggressive because they are scared and in pain. They do not understand that we are trying to help them. Dr. Kira looked back at the stellar main. The creature was watching their conversation through the window. Its golden eyes did look sad and tired, rather than purely aggressive. Miss Kim, even if your theory is correct, we do not have time for slow trust-building exercises. The creature is dying. We have less than 36 hours to find a solution. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Dr. Kira, what if I could spend some time observing the creature? I would not attempt any procedures or enter its containment unit. I would just watch and learn its behavior patterns. That would be a waste of valuable time, Nurse Tavo said. But Dr. Kira found herself considering the request. They had exhausted all their advanced options. Maybe a fresh perspective, even from a primitive human, might reveal something they had missed. Very well, she said finally. You may observe the creature for a few hours, but you will stay outside the containment area at all times, and you will report any observations to me immediately. Hana smiled for the first time since arriving. Thank you, Dr. Kira. I will not disappoint you. As the medical staff returned to their urgent work, Hana pulled a chair close to the viewing window and sat down to watch the dying stellar main. She had no advanced equipment, no powerful medicines, and no years of galactic medical training. All she had was patience, curiosity, and a different way of thinking about the relationship between healers and the creatures they tried to save. The stellar main looked back at her through the glass, and for the first time in 3 weeks, it did not look away. Hana had been sitting by the viewing window for 6 hours when Dr. Kira found her still there. The young human had not moved from her chair except to get water and use the facilities. She sat perfectly still, watching the stellar main with complete focus. Miss Kim, Dr. Kira said softly. You have been here all day. Do you not need rest? Hana looked up with tired but alert eyes. I am learning so much, Doctor. This creature is not what your files describe. Dr. Kira sat down in the chair, next to her. Through the window, the stellar mane was lying on its side, but its head was up and watching them. It had been watching Hana for most of the day. What do you mean? Dr. Kira asked. Your records say stellar manes are solitary hunters that avoid contact with other creatures. But look at its behavior. Hana pointed to the great white beast. It has spent the entire day positioned where it can see me. When I moved my chair to get a better angle, it moved too so it could keep watching me. When I left for 10 minutes earlier, it became restless and started pacing again. Dr. Kira studied the creature more carefully. It was true that the stellar mane seemed calmer when Hana was present. But she was not convinced this meant anything important. It might simply be curious about a new person, Dr. Kira suggested. Maybe, Hana said. But watch this. She stood up slowly and walked to the far side of the viewing area. The stellar mane immediately lifted its head higher and shifted its position to keep her in sight. When she returned to her original chair, the creature relaxed again. It is tracking your movements, Dr. Kira observed with surprise. More than that, it is choosing to stay near me. On Earth, when large predators do this, it usually means they are seeking comfort or companionship. They do it when they are sick, scared, or lonely. Dr. Kira felt a strange mix of doubt and hope. Could this primitive human actually be seeing something that all their advanced sensors and analysis had missed? Miss Kim, even if the creature does want company, that does not solve our medical problem. We still cannot get close enough to treat the parasitic infection. Hana nodded thoughtfully. Doctor, would it be possible for me to try something? Something very simple and safe? Before Dr. Kira could answer, Commander June appeared in the medical bay. The tall, muscular Krathan warrior looked even more intimidating than usual. His gray skin was marked with the ritual scars of his people, and his forearms made him look like a living weapon. Dr. Kira, he said in his deep, rumbling voice. I need to speak with you about the creature. Dr. Kira knew this could not be good news. Commander June was the station's head of security, and he had been pushing for aggressive solutions to the stellar mane problem since the beginning. What is it, Commander? My security analysis shows that the creature's condition is deteriorating faster than expected. The infection is causing brain swelling, which is making it even more unpredictable and dangerous. He activated a portable holographic display that showed brain scans of the stellar mane. The images revealed dark areas where the parasites were causing inflammation. At this rate, the creature will either die within 18 hours or become completely uncontrollable within 12 hours. Either way, it will be a threat to everyone on this station. Commander June looked directly at Dr. Kira. I am recommending immediate termination. It is the only safe option. No, Dr. Kira said, firmly. We still have time to find a solution. Doctor, I respect your dedication to saving lives, but my job is protecting lives. That creature has already injured too many people. I cannot allow it to hurt anyone else. Hana had been listening to their conversation with growing alarm. She stood up from her chair and faced the security commander. Commander June, what if I could prove that the creature can be safely approached? Would that change your recommendation? The Krathan warrior looked down at the small human with what might have been amusement. Little human, that creature would tear you apart in seconds. Your species has no experience with apex predators from advanced worlds. Actually, we do, Hana said calmly. Earth has many large predators. Tigers, lions, bears, wolves. I have worked with injured and traumatized big cats before. Commander June made a sound like grinding stone, which was how his species laughed. Your Earth cats are tiny compared to a stellar mane. This creature could kill a dozen of your largest predators without effort. Size is not the only factor that matters, Hana replied. Behavior, psychology, and emotional state are just as important. This creature is not acting like a mindless killer. It is acting like a scared, sick animal that needs help. Dr. Kira watched the exchange with growing interest. The young human showed no fear when facing Commander June, despite the obvious physical difference between them. "Miss Kim, what exactly are you proposing?" Dr. Kira asked. "Let me try to interact with the creature through the feeding slot in its containment unit. I will not enter the unit itself. I just want to see if I can establish basic communication." "Communication?" Commander June scoffed. "It is an animal, not a diplomat." "All intelligent creatures communicate," Hana said. "They use body language, vocalizations, and behavior patterns to express their needs and emotions. If I can understand what this creature is trying to tell us, maybe we can find a way to help it accept medical treatment." Dr. Kira found herself seriously considering the proposal. They had less than 18 hours before Commander June would likely get authorization to terminate the creature. All their advanced methods had failed. Maybe it was time to try something completely different. "The feeding slot is designed to keep staff safe while delivering food," she said slowly. "It has emergency locks that can seal instantly if there is any danger." Commander June crossed all four of his arms. "Doctor, you cannot be serious about letting this untrained human attempt something so dangerous." "Commander, with respect, your way leads to killing the creature. The doctor's way has not worked so far. Maybe it is time to try the human way." The three of them looked through the window at the stellar main. The great creature was watching them with those intelligent golden eyes. Its white fur was no longer as bright as when it first arrived. Dark patches showed where the parasites were affecting its health. "If you are going to try this foolish plan," Commander June said finally, "I want full security protocols in place, armed guards, emergency sedation systems, and immediate lockdown procedures." Dr. Kira nodded. "Agreed. Ms. Kim, are you certain you want to attempt this?" Hana looked at the dying creature through the glass. "Doctor, that animal is scared and in pain. It is the last of its kind from a dead world. If I do nothing, it will die alone and afraid. I have to try." For the first time since the crisis began, Dr. Kira felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. Maybe the primitive human was wrong. Maybe her simple approach would fail, just like all their advanced methods. But maybe, just maybe, she was right. The medical bay had never been so crowded. Security officers stood at every corner with their weapons ready. Dr. Kira and her medical team monitored every scanner and sensor they had. Commander June watched from the main observation deck with his hand near the emergency lockdown controls. Hana stood before the feeding slot in the stellar main's containment unit. The small opening was designed to safely deliver food without exposing staff to danger. It had multiple safety seals and could be closed instantly at the first sign of trouble. Through the reinforced glass, the great white creature lay on its side. Its breathing was labored and shallow. The parasitic infection was winning the battle for its life. Dark veins now showed through its once pristine fur where the parasites had spread. "Miss Kim," Dr. Kira said through the communication system, "you do not have to do this. We can still try other options." Hana shook her head. "Doctor, there are no other options left. This is our last chance." She approached the feeding slot slowly and quietly. The stellar main lifted its massive head and watched her with those intelligent golden eyes. For a moment, neither the human nor the alien creature moved. Then Hana did something that shocked everyone watching. She sat down on the floor in front of the feeding slot, making herself smaller and less threatening. She began to speak in a soft, gentle voice. "Hello, beautiful one," she said. "I know you are scared and hurting. I want to help you, but I need you to trust me." The stellar main tilted its great head to one side, as if trying to understand her words. Its ears, each as large as dinner plates, turned toward the sound of her voice. "I know what it feels like to be alone and far from home," Hana continued. "You came from a dying world and now you are trapped in this strange place with creatures you do not understand." Commander June spoke into his communicator. "Doctor, this is pointless. The creature cannot understand human speech." But Dr. Kira noticed something the security commander had missed. The stellar main's body language was changing. Its muscles were relaxing. Its breathing was becoming slower and more regular. Hana slowly reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. It was a piece of fruit from the station's cafeteria. She held it up so the creature could see it. "I brought you something," she said. "Not medicine, not a trap, just food. A gift from one lost soul to another." Very carefully, she placed the fruit near the feeding slot opening. The stellar mane watched every movement but showed no signs of aggression. Then something amazing happened. The great creature slowly pushed itself up onto its belly and moved closer to the feeding slot. It was the first time in 3 weeks that it had approached the barrier willingly. The medical bay fell completely silent. Even the monitoring equipment seemed quieter. Everyone watched as the stellar mane brought its enormous head close to the small opening. Hana remained perfectly still as the creature sniffed the air near the fruit. Then, with surprising gentleness, it used the tip of its tongue to pull the small piece of food through the slot. "Incredible," whispered Nurse Tavo. It accepted food from her hand. But Hana was not finished. She began to hum softly, a simple melody from Earth. The tune was peaceful and soothing. The stellar mane's ears swiveled to catch every note. "Miss Kim," Dr. Kira said quietly through the communicator, "can you try touching it?" Hana nodded slowly. She moved her hand toward the feeding slot opening. The security officers tensed and gripped their weapons tighter. Commander June's finger hovered over the emergency controls. The stellar mane watched Hana's hand approach. For a terrifying moment, it looked like the creature might snap at her fingers. Then, instead of attacking, it did something no one expected. It pressed its massive nose against the opening and allowed Hana to touch it. The contact lasted only a few seconds, but it changed everything. The creature that had been too dangerous for trained professionals to approach was allowing a 19-year-old human girl to pet its nose. "This is impossible," Commander June muttered. Dr. Kira was already moving. "Prepare the medical equipment. If Miss Kim can keep the creature calm, we might be able to attempt treatment through the feeding slot." But as the medical team rushed to gather their instruments, the stellar mane's condition suddenly worsened. The creature pulled back from the opening and let out a low, painful moan. Its body began to shake uncontrollably. "The parasites are reaching critical mass," Dr. Kira announced after checking her scanners. "The infection is spreading to its heart and brain. We have minutes, not hours." Hana looked at the suffering creature and made a decision that terrified everyone watching. She stood up and walked to the main containment door. "Miss Kim, stop," Commander June shouted. "You cannot enter that unit." "The feeding slot is too small for proper medical treatment," Hana said calmly. "If we are going to save this creature, someone has to go inside and administer the medicine directly." "It will kill you the moment you enter," Dr. Kira said desperately. Hana placed her hand on the door controls. "Doctor, that creature just let me touch it. It trusts me. If I go in there with confidence and respect instead of fear and weapons, it will let me help it." The medical bay erupted in arguments. Security officers shouted orders. Medical staff protested the dangerous plan. Commander June threatened to override the door controls. But through all the noise, Hana kept her eyes on the stellar mane. The creature was watching her through the glass door. Its golden eyes were dim with pain, but they held something that had not been there before. "Hope. I am going in," Hana announced. "With or without your permission." Dr. Kira realized she had to make a choice. She could stop the young human and watch the creature die safely, or she could trust in something she had never believed in before. She could trust in the power of compassion over technology. "Prepare the emergency medical kit," she told her team, "and may the stars help us all." Hana's hand moved toward the door release. In a few seconds, she would either save the last stellar mane in the galaxy or become its final victim. The creature watched and waited, its fate resting in the hands of a species the galaxy considered primitive and weak. The containment door slid open with a soft hiss. Every person in the medical bay held their breath as Hana stepped inside the unit that had been a battleground for 3 weeks. The stellar mane lay on its side, breathing heavily. Up close, Hana could see how much the creature had suffered. Its once magnificent white fur was dull and patchy. Dark veins showed where the parasites had spread throughout its body. but its golden eyes were still alert and watching her every move. "Hello again, beautiful one," Hana said softly, as she knelt down several feet away from the creature. "I know, you are in terrible pain. I want to help you, but I need you to stay calm." Behind the viewing window, Dr. Kira stood ready with the medical equipment. Her hands shook as she watched the young human sitting so close to the dangerous predator. The stellar mane lifted its massive head and studied Hana carefully. For a long moment, neither moved. Then the creature did something that amazed everyone watching. It made a soft, rumbling sound deep in its throat. Not a roar or a growl, but something almost like a purr. "It is trying to communicate with her," Nurse Tava whispered in wonder. Hana slowly reached into the medical bag she had brought with her. The movement caused the stellar mane to tense slightly, but it did not attack. Instead, it watched with curious eyes as she pulled out a small injection device. "This medicine will help fight the parasites that are making you sick," she explained, holding the device where the creature could see it. "It might sting a little, but it will make you feel better." The stellar mane sniffed the air, catching the scent of the medicine. Its ears flattened against its head, showing that it was nervous about the strange object. Hana set the injection device aside and instead pulled out another piece of fruit. She offered it to the creature, who carefully took it with its tongue. While the stellar mane was distracted by the food, Hana picked up the medical device again. "Dr. Kira," she called softly toward the viewing window. "I am going to attempt the injection now." Through the communication system, Dr. Kira's voice was tight with worry. "Miss Kim, be extremely careful. One wrong move and the creature could kill you instantly." But Hana was not thinking about danger. She was thinking about the magnificent beast in front of her that was dying from a treatable disease. She moved slowly and smoothly, keeping her voice calm and soothing. "Easy, beautiful one. This will help you feel better, I promise." She placed her free hand gently on the creature's neck. The stellar mane's muscles tensed under her touch, but it did not pull away. Hana could feel the rapid heartbeat of the dying animal. With careful precision, she pressed the injection device against the creature's neck and activated it. The medicine flowed into the stellar mane's bloodstream in seconds. The creature let out a soft whimper at the brief sting, but it did not attack or try to escape. Instead, it looked at Hana with what could only be described as gratitude. "First dose is complete," Hana announced to the medical team. "But the infection is severe. The creature will need multiple treatments over the next few hours." Commander Jun's voice came through the communication system. "Miss Kim, you need to exit the containment unit immediately. You have done enough." But Hana shook her head. "The stellar mane is still very sick. If I leave now, it might become aggressive again when other people try to give it more medicine. I need to stay with it until the treatment is finished." Dr. Kira felt torn between admiration and terror. The young human was showing incredible courage, but she was also taking enormous risks. "Miss Kim, that could take many hours. You cannot stay in there indefinitely. Doctor, this creature has been alone and afraid for weeks. It finally trusts someone. If I abandon it now, we might never get another chance to help it." As if understanding their conversation, the stellar mane moved closer to Hana. It rested, its enormous head near her lap, like a giant cat seeking comfort from its owner. The sight was so remarkable that even Commander Jun stopped arguing. Through the viewing window, they could all see the bond that had formed between the human girl and the alien predator. Over the next 6 hours, Hana administered 4 more doses of medicine to the stellar mane. Each time, the creature remained calm and cooperative. It even began to eat the food that Hana offered, something it had refused to do for days. As the medicine began to work, the dark veins under the creature's fur started to fade. Its breathing became easier and stronger. The dullness left its golden eyes, replaced by growing alertness and health. "The parasitic infection is responding to treatment," Dr. Kira announced with amazement. "The creature's vital signs are improving rapidly." By the end of the treatment, the stellar mane was sitting upright and moving normally. Its white fur was beginning to regain its natural brilliance. Most importantly, it showed no signs of aggression toward Hana or anyone else. When Hana finally stood to leave the containment unit, the creature gently nuzzled her hand with its massive nose. It was a gesture of affection and thanks that brought tears to the eyes of everyone watching. As Hana stepped out of the unit, the medical bay erupted in cheers and applause. She had accomplished something that the most advanced medical team in 3-star systems could not do. Commander June approached her with obvious respect. "Miss Kim, I owe you an apology. I thought your methods were primitive and dangerous. I was wrong." Dr. Kira was already making plans. "Miss Kim, I want to offer you a permanent position here at Harmony Station. What you have accomplished today could change how we treat traumatized creatures throughout the galaxy." Hana smiled tiredly. "I would be honored to stay, Dr. Kira. But I think we should start by teaching your staff some basic animal psychology. Understanding behavior is just as important as understanding biology." Over the following weeks, news of Hana's success spread throughout the galactic medical community. The techniques she developed, combining human empathy with advanced alien medicine, became the new standard for treating dangerous and traumatized creatures. The Stellar Main became the first patient in Harmony Station's new interspecies animal psychology department. Under Hana's care, it made a complete recovery and became a gentle giant that helped train other medical staff in the new methods. Dr. Kira often watched through the viewing window as Hana walked through the medical bay with the massive white creature padding peacefully beside her. The sight never failed to amaze her. A primitive human species had taught the advanced galactic civilization that sometimes the oldest and simplest solutions were the most powerful. Compassion, patience, and understanding could succeed where force and technology failed. The galaxy had learned an important lesson from a 19-year-old girl from Earth. And the Stellar Main, the last of its kind from a dead world, had found a new home and a true friend among the stars.